It is very difficult to cope at the front when up to 100 Russian motorcyclists fly into the positions. This was stated by Hero of Ukraine, officer of the Rubezh brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, Vladislav Stotsky, call sign Fire, in an interview with Army TV. He shared that there had recently been an assault involving 100 enemy motorcycles. According to Stotsky, these motorcycles had attacked from different sides, and one could see how the entire strip was full of motorcycles. They have a guy with electronic warfare in the back and a driver in the front, and they drive up, blow up Ukrainian positions, fight, capture. The worst situation is when an infantryman has only one way out, because he has a hole into which the enemy can throw a grenade, explosives, and nothing can be done about it. He is standing on top. If he stands like this over one position, then the drone will hit. But if they stand like this over 3 positions, then the drone will hit 1. And what about the other 2? They are not fools there, the officer of the National Guard of Ukraine said. To deal with such an invasion of motorcycles, a drone advantage is needed, he said. A mortar, artillery, or AGS won't help here. Infantry small arms and a drone advantage will help, so that the drone can catch up with it. Everything else is ineffective, Stotsky said. According to him, it is very expedient today to implement a movement to teach mortarmen, AGS operators, machine gunners to work with drones, bombers, and distribute them. At the same time, the fighter noted that such multi-profile would be expedient to use in especially difficult situations. Stotsky told how he managed to kill an enemy motorcyclist. He was on his way to his own people, but he came to us and his motorbike stalled. That's how God punished him. And it stalled, and here we are. And it turns out that we are in his rear, Stotsky noted. The fighter added that according to his passport, he was a traitor from the Luhansk region. As reported, the chairman of the Council of Reserves of the Ground Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ivan Tymochko, said that the Russians have recently been using more and more civilian transport due to the insufficient number of armored vehicles. At the same time, due to the difficulty of movement and the high threat of destruction, the occupiers are relying on more maneuverable units, in particular motorcycle units. He noted that there is no purely military specialization of motorcycles. These are ordinary motorcycles that can be purchased from any supplier or even bought from civilians or confiscated from them.
Ukrainian Air Force struck the control center of Russia's drone units near the village of Tetkino in Russia's Kursk Oblast, Ukraine's General Staff reported. The crews of unmanned reconnaissance and attack drones were based at this location. As a result of the strike, up to 20 Russian soldiers were killed and their equipment destroyed, according to the statement. The village of Tetkino in Kursk Oblast is less than 10 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Before Russia's full-scale invasion, the settlement was home to up to 4,000 people. Brave pilots of the Air Force and all of Ukraine's defense forces continue to systematically reduce the aggressor state's ability to wage its war of conquest, the General Staff emphasized. In April, Moscow said it had regained control of the entire region, 9 months after Ukrainian forces launched a surprise invasion. Kyiv insists it still has soldiers operating across the border. Also in Kursk, Russian officials reported an electrical substation in the town of Rylsk lost power on Monday after being damaged in an attack by Ukraine. 2 transformers at the substation in Rylsk had been damaged, according to acting governor of the Kursk region, Alexander Kinstein, in a post on the Telegram messaging app. He added 2 teenagers had been injured by shrapnel from the blast. Ukraine originally made its surprise incursion into Kursk in August 2024 to create a buffer zone and protect Sumy and surrounding areas, while also hoping to use it as a bargaining chip in future negotiations. At least 3 civilians were killed in 2 separate Ukrainian attacks in the southwestern Kursk region, regional officials said. 2 women working for an agricultural firm were killed when a drone struck a van carrying 5 workers near the village of Shegolek, acting Kursk region governor Alexander Kinstein said. 3 others were hospitalized with bruises, he added. In a separate incident, a 53-year-old man was killed by an explosive device dropped by a drone in the village of Zvanoy, also near the border with Ukraine's Sumy region, Kinstein said. Both villages are located close to where Ukrainian and Russian forces have been fighting over the past several months. Russian invaders are increasingly attacking on motorcycles and using small infantry groups during assault operations. This was reported by the spokesman of the Khortytsia Operational Strategic Group, Major Viktor Tregyabov. According to him, in the Khortytsia grouping's operational zone, the invasion forces are actively switching to infantry warfare tactics, employing less and less armored vehicles. The Pokrovsk direction is the most intense now, and that intensity has reached record levels, again. It is comparable to the most active days of the campaign that the Russians unsuccessfully tried to pursue in January-February. Perhaps the tactics have changed a bit, perhaps the scale has changed a bit at some points, because they are increasingly attacking on motorbikes, increasingly employing small infantry groups, but the intensity is really high, Tregyabov said. Tregyabov added that the tactics and scale of actions of the Russian occupiers have changed. They are increasingly attacking on motorcycles. They are increasingly using small infantry groups, but the intensity is very high, said Tregyabov. According to the official, the Lyman, Novopavlivka, and Toretsk axes remain no less intense. The Russians are trying to maintain a large grouping of troops in the Pokrovsk direction. By the summer, the war will have switched to the infantry format, he added. Several combined arms armies have been deployed there since 2023. They have one major strategic goal: to somehow gain control of the town of Pokrovsk. They have been pursuing that goal for 2 years now, and although they see no success, they continue to focus their efforts there. If we are talking about some specifics, we must understand that most likely by the summer the war zone could see more small infantry groups, the spokesman noted. He said that sometimes in certain directions the enemy's actions resemble one large attack that never stops. It actually looks like one big attack that simply doesn't stop. People come and perish, some get blown up, die in batches, but others replace them immediately, coming in on their motorbikes. Meanwhile, Russia shows no preparations for the so-called parade-related truce at the front, he said. In the first 4 months of 2025, the Russian army is advancing more slowly. At the same time, its level of losses remains steadily high. Since the beginning of the year, the troops have suffered 160,000 losses, that is, an average of 99 losses per square kilometer. In April, Ukrainian soldiers recovered a total of 115 positions, and 62 targets on the territory of the Russian Federation were hit by deep strike weapons during the month, and the transition to a core system in the army continues.